Chapter 105 Purifying the ominous soul-devouring knife. Hu Yuao's pupils had become filled with golden light and translucent. It was as if they were two golden crystals. What's wrong? Who dares attempt to snatch my territory? The Sky Dream Iceworm asked furiously. After being provoked by the ominous soul-devouring knife, the Ice Empress' mind also cleared up. A streak of azure light flashed across Hu Yuao's golden pupils, and an aura that was 100 times more ferocious than that of the ominous soul-devouring knives was unleashed. It viciously slammed into the ominous soul-devouring knife. This time, the knife cried out in sorrow, and the green gaseous light it was emanating was dispersed. The Sky Dream Iceworm and Ice Jade Empress Scorpion were both partially fused with Hu Yuao's body, thus their own true powers were sealed as well. However, their spiritual origins were both in Hu Yuao's spiritual sea. Even though Hu Yuao couldn't unleash their power, they could still definitely protect Hu Yuao's spiritual sea. What kind of temper did the Ice Empress have? If the Ice Empress and Sky Dream Iceworm could be described as a married couple, then the Sky Dream Iceworm was the henpecked one, while she was the tigress in the family. The Sky Dream Iceworm had gone into defense mode the moment he felt that he was being attacked, but she had immediately counterattacked. Hu Yuao's mind immediately cleared up. The combined spiritual powers of the Sky Dream Iceworm and the Ice Empress gave him the feeling that they could devour a person forcefully. It was only at this point that Electrolux finally woke up. Oh. It's life gold. Little worm and scorpion, both of you quiet down please. Even though Electrolux, the self-proclaimed calamity necromancer who followed the divine law of necromancy, only had a shred of divine sense left, the Sky Dream Iceworm and Ice Empress were still afraid of him. They were also clearly aware that Electrolux didn't harbor any ill intentions towards Hu Yuao. His spiritual sea was a common interest that all three of them shared. Wang Yan noticed that the ferocious gaze in Hu Yuao's pupils changed once again. His azure golden eyes rapidly turned grey, while his aura seemed to greatly transform. The first time that Wang Yan had seen Hu Yuao's eyes turn grey was back when his soul power had only been rank 17 and he'd been fighting with Feng. Even with all of his special powers, Hu Yuao had only managed to win once his eyes turned grey. However, he'd been quite far away back then and hadn't been able to sense things clearly. However, right now, Wang Yan was very close to Hu Yuao. The only thing he felt was that Hu Yuao's grey eyes were filled with a boundless mysteriousness. But within this mysteriousness, he could sense an unprecedented divinity. It was even more divine than the angel he'd once seen before. Hu Yuao's youthful face even exuded a tinge of holiness when the layer of grey appeared in his eyes. Suddenly, Hu Yuao turned to look at Wang Yan. Wang Yan had never felt that he needed to be cautious against him before, but the moment he saw the boundless grey in the depths of Hu Yuao's eyes, his mind became blurry. No matter what he did, he couldn't bring himself to resist it. If anyone else were present, they would see that Wang Yan's eyes had become filled with emptiness the moment Hu Yuao looked at him. He was akin to a walking zombie. Once this was done, Hu Yuao then turned back to the ominous soul-devouring knife and focused his attention on it. The dim greyish radiance from his eyes seemed to become an entity with form as it shut out and landed on the knife. After a moment, Hu Yuao's consciousness retreated to his spiritual sea, and Electrolux took back control of his body. From his own perspective, Hu Yuao was helpless. Who'd asked him to be so weak? Regardless of if it was the Sky Dream Iceworm, the Ice Empress, or Electrolux, Hu Yuao was quite a lot weaker than all of them by a significant amount. How else could his body be controlled by them at any time? However, this thought only flashed across his mind. After all, Electrolux was doing everything for him. The ominous soul-devouring knife shook violently and released a mournful groan the instant that the greyish spiritual power Electrolux released struck it. If someone wasn't resolute enough, his emotions would be greatly affected by this groan. Electrolux's thoughts then echoed through Hu Yuao's spiritual sea, injecting evil thoughts and curses into the life gold is only something that an evil creator could think of. He simply sensed the immense strength that this life gold has, but he didn't know how to let it unleash its truly miraculous effects. Life gold, cleanse yourself. I'll let you return to your original state, and shall remove all the stains on you. Your purest life aura can be unleashed once again. Hu Yuao's pupils experienced a change once again. His previously grey pupils suddenly turned white, a white that was as flawless and pure as jade. It was as white as snow. The greyish spiritual power also turned into a white, purifying light instantaneously. This time, the ominous soul-devouring knife had stopped shaking. As it resisted, an intense green light was suddenly released from its blade. The green light formed a ferocious-looking face and roared madly. It seemed to want to devour the white light that Electrolux was emitting. However, even though the purifying light seemed extremely thin, it was akin to boiling oil being poured onto a pile of snow when it struck the ominous soul-devouring knife. The green light from the fierce-looking face was blurred by half in an instant. The originally ferocious look at the face had also turned blurry. However, the green light revolving around it was still very strong. But gust after gust of black gas was evaporating and dissipating beneath the effect of the purifying light. The green light that the ominous soul-devouring knife was emitting began to become both purer and gentler as this continued. The entire cleansing process was very short and quick. The moment that the last streak of black gas dissipated, the green light that the knife's blade was emitting became as clean as spring water. There were no longer any impurities on it. Thus the originally black blade also turned into a greenish crystal-like entity. Electrolux sighed heavily. I didn't realize I'd become so weak. I feel so tired and weak despite just using a bit of the purifying light. All right, you'll have to tell your teacher that you need to keep the knife on you. I'll need some time to fuse the two of you together. Once he finished speaking, he made Hu Yuao look at Wang Yan. After that, the whiteness in Hu Yuao's eyes disappeared. Hu Yuao regained control of his own body, while Wang Yan's empty eyes regained their focus. What? Wang Yan immediately noticed the obvious change in the ominous soul-devouring knife once he regained focus. The originally deadly sense of ferocity that it had possessed had ceased to exist. Currently, the crystal-like knife gave him a burning feeling of life. Wang Yan was very confused. He didn't even remember Hu Yuao turning to look at him. He was quite shocked by what had happened. This is, Yuao, how did you do this? Hu Yuao's only choice was to make up a lie. Teacher Wang, I felt spiritual fluctuations coming from this knife the moment that I saw it. They weren't very strong, and were only based on the strength contained within the knife's blade. From the perspective of a soul engineers, this is known as a sealing of one's soul. In other words, a shred of evil will from an evil soul master had been sealed inside of this carving knife, which is why it was so ferocious. I simply used my spiritual power to open the seal, which wasn't very powerful, and remove the shred of evil will from the knife. This has allowed the knife to return to its normal state. It shouldn't pose a threat anymore. As for whether it's ready to use, we can only bring it back to try. Wang Yan was very knowledgeable in regards to the research into soul masters, but he wasn't very clear about soul engineers. He could only nod when he heard Hu Yuao's words. He then tried to pick up the knife. Indeed, the knife had lost all traces of its ferocious aura. Instead, the knife felt very smooth in his hand. In fact, it didn't seem to have an aura at all. It seemed like it'd been carved from some sort of crystal. If not for the unchanged, simple patterns on the knife, he would have thought that Hu Yuao had switched it out. He lifted the knife and handed it to Hu Yuao, then said, keep it then. We'll let Fanu take a look at it when we return to the academy. I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to soul tools. Thanks, Teacher Wang. Hu Yuao felt elated when he received the knife. He had the same feeling as Wang Yan when he held the knife. It seemed like the knife was made of ordinary crystal. That was it. After obtaining the knife as he wished, Hu Yuao was extremely delighted. However, he also knew that he owed the academy a lot. The academy had nurtured him, thus he would need to repay their contributions in the future. After returning to his room, he relayed everything to Wang Dong. Of course, he only told him the same version of what had happened as what he'd told Wang Yan. He couldn't let anyone know about the secret in his spiritual sea. Wang Dong was also awed when he saw the knife. Is it really that good? It's a pity that there's not a suitable environment around. If there was, you could try to create a soul tool with it. Hu Yuao replied, there's no rush. Come, let's continue cultivating together. He'd already leapt out of bed by the time he finished speaking. Wang Dong was annoyed and replied, you aren't human. Don't you ever feel bored or fatigued? Why not go out and play? I'm gonna die of boredom. Hu Yuao chuckled and said, if you're not talented, you have to be one step ahead of others. My cultivation is the weakest of everyone present. If I don't work harder than everyone, how will I live up to the academy's expectations? Wang Dong snorted and said, fine, cultivate by yourself first. I'm heading back to my room and shower first. You have to achieve balance in your cultivation. You can't always be so tense. Hu Yuao was delighted when Wang Dong left. He was still waiting for Electrolux to tell him how miraculous the ominous soul-devouring knife was. After Wang Dong left, Hu Yuao immediately pulled the green, crystal-like knife out. Electrolux's slightly weak voice rang out. Press it against your forehead. Yuao, remember not to panic no matter what happens. Remain calm and leave everything to me. Do you understand? All right. Who are you? Acknowledged, then pressed the knife to his forehead. When the knife came into contact with his skin, he felt a surge of warm energy. Immediately afterwards, a strained aura streaked from his spiritual sea into the knife. In an instant, the knife shone with green light, and a stream of vigorous life aura surged into Huo Yuao's body through the center of his forehead. In that instant, Huo Yuao's body turned the same color as the knife. Even his spiritual sea was no exception. As the intense green light spread, the spiritual origins of the Sky Dream Iceworm and the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion were temporarily suppressed. An unprecedented comfort flowed throughout his body, causing Huo Yuao to feel as if every minute area of his body was moaning in happiness. His body greedily sucked at the vigorous life energy being released by the knife. He seemed to be able to see everything inside his body. Everything turned green and were filled with the same life aura. His passageways became more flexible, his organs became tougher, his bones were strengthened. His entire body seemed to its quality raised. The most obvious change he sensed was in his passageways. Even though they hadn't dilated, Huo Yuao was sure that his passageways could definitely withstand a greater flood of soul power due to their increased resilience. As the green light cleansed his entire body, all of the impurities within his body were rapidly expelled through his pores. Huo Yuao had once consumed pills and medicine that had solidified his foundations. In the process, they had cleansed his body from the inside out after he digested it. However, it was different this time. The strong, powerful aura contained within the ominous soul-devouring knife was like the water of life. It cleansed every single corner of his body. This didn't increase his cultivation, but Huo Yuao was able to sense that his body had become as transparent as the ominous soul-devouring knife. All of the cultivation that he'd accumulated over the past few years was also cleansed under the nourishment of this wave of vigorous life aura. He felt that his body had finally become whole. Even things that he hadn't understood in the past became clear to him as his mind cleared up. Was this the miraculous effect of the life gold? Huo Yuao was astonished. He'd been exposed to many things as he cultivated and learned. Even though his abilities hadn't been increased, he was well aware of what this change meant to him. The benefits he'd received from body being cleansed were immediately apparent. His state of weakness had turned into strength, and his cultivation speed had been greatly increased. Only a tough body could accommodate an abundance of soul power, which in turn would allow him to better absorb it and increase his cultivation faster. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.